Good morning, everyone. We are going to interrupt your programming because we do have a tornado warning that has been issued for the viewing area, and I want to get you straight to that because this is affecting you along the eastern shore. You can see that red outline. That is a tornado warning that we have along the eastern shore. Let's take a look. We'll get this information for you. You can see this is outlined right now. We have it over from Bird's Nest down through Eastville, down through Cape Charles. I will read the warning for you that's been issued from the National Weather Service. It is a tornado warning for central Northampton County in eastern Virginia. You can see along the eastern shore. This is in effect until 9 this morning. At 8:18, National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated a waterspout over the Chesapeake Bay. So again, this is a waterspout. This is not atypical when you get this kind of system moving through. Basically, we have an approaching cold front that is moving over us right now. We're getting it a little bit of activity before the front itself passes tonight. So again, this is a Doppler radar indicated waterspout over the Chesapeake Bay. This dangerous storm located 5 miles northwest of Cape Charles, moving east at 25 miles an hour. So that means the storm will be near Cape Charles around 8:25 this morning, Chariton and Bayview around 8:30. Other locations impacted by this storm include Smith Beach, Simpkins, Oyster, Eastville, and Bird's Nest. So basically what you want to do whenever you have a tornado warning, and I will say this with waterspouts, typically when they get in close contact with land, they are going to die out. But we want to take no risk here. So you want to take cover now. That means moving to an interior room, any of those locations that I just mentioned. So let's go through them one more time. It is central Northampton County in eastern Virginia. This tornado warning in effect until 9 a.m. So located 5 miles northwest. When this was issued, which was just a few minutes ago, 8:20, so 6 minutes ago to be exact, which means as this moves over the Chesapeake Bay, it should be pretty close to you if it's still holding together around Cape Charles. It is moving east at 25 miles an hour. Those locations again, Cape Charles, Chariton, Bayview, that through 8:30. So really this is actually a nowcast more than a forecast. Other locations, Smith Beach, Simpkins, Oyster, Eastville. So you want to take cover now. That means moving to an interior room. And I want to go ahead and put the radar back on for you. And when you see that area of pink, typically what you see there, you'll get some hail also in the mix. So this also going to contain some downpours. Let's go ahead and loop this over the past hour so you can get an idea of exactly where it is moving. Mention taking cover now. Of course, ideally in a perfect world, that's going to be a basement. But if not, you want an interior room away from windows, so perhaps a bathroom, a closet. And I mentioned you could be feeling some hail as well. And in fact, in this type of situation, we want to keep you safe. We want to let you know exactly what's going on. But you really want to be listening to us, listening to me right now, tracking this storm rather than watching the television, because you really want to be taking cover. You can see this moving, and let's go ahead and see where it is right now. So I want to see this in present time. And again, this is going to be some very heavy rain, and this is in effect until 9 o'clock. I do want to emphasize that this is a radar indicated waterspout that was moving across the Chesapeake Bay, and they were estimating that it's moving at about 25 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and take that out and we'll track it for you. So moving at about 25 miles an hour. So sure enough, that means just a few minutes from now, literally 2, over you in Cape Charles. And even if this waterspout, and they normally do not survive interactions with land, even if this storm holds together, we are talking about some very heavy rain that will be falling over you at 8:37 in Chariton, 8:39 this morning in Culls, 8:44 in Eastville, 8:47 in Bridgetown, 8:49 in Johnsontown, 8:53 for you in Bird's Nest. So this is going to continue to track off to the east. And again, this was a radar indicated waterspout. We'll be making some phone calls to see if anyone has seen anything approaching the eastern shore and if we have anything that holds together for you as it is crossing the eastern shore. But again, we want to emphasize this tornado warning in effect for a Doppler radar indicated waterspout is going to move across the eastern shore. And again, I want to emphasize, even if it turns out there's not a waterspout, this is going to be some very heavy rain. This is a strong storm that's going to be moving over you. And this is just the beginning. Hopefully we're not going to get more tornado warnings out of this, but we do have a front that is moving across the entire region. And in fact, let me zoom back out so you can see this situation, because we've also already had a severe thunderstorm warning. So hopefully you're briefed along the eastern shore. I want to say one more time, and the reason that we cut in is because we do have this Doppler radar indicated waterspout moving across the bay, about to move over this storm system over the eastern shore. So if you live in central Northampton County, know that that's where you want to take cover. And you can also see, I mentioned that warning that we also have in effect. And specifically, that is a severe thunderstorm warning that had already been issued. In fact, that was probably issued at about 7:50. You can see that for Sussex County. That is through 8:30, which is about 12 seconds from now. So we'll see if that is allowed to expire. I will tell you, as I've been tracking that one storm that sparked that warning, the severe thunderstorm warning, which is distinct from a tornado warning. Thunderstorm warnings, as you take a look at your screen, mean that we have storms that could produce damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, and also large hail. And you can see that yellow box did disappear. So that warning has been allowed to expire. Although as you take a look around I-95, and I'll go ahead and do that for you right now. We'll switch sources here, because this is a sign of also things to come. I don't want to lose sight of that tornado warning for you along the eastern shore, but I also want you to know, as you take a look at I-95 and you see some of that very heavy rain, which of course you can pick out when you have the areas of red, you have some of the orange out there, and I want to show you exactly where that is moving, because already out of this system we've already seen one severe thunderstorm warning and we have that tornado warning. So how is this moving? Well, it's moving off to the east, but you also want to keep in mind that the overall front, and this is actually out ahead of the main front, that is sinking to the south. So you have to take into consideration the eastward movement of individual cells, and also that southerly jog that is going to continue here as we proceed throughout not just the morning, but as we get into the afternoon. So right now we're just out of the viewing area along I-95. We have that heavier rain falling. Obviously, you're going to be feeling it in Southampton County here over the next, not before very much longer. In fact, it's already creeping across the county line. You're feeling it in Rushmere, in Williamsburg. So right now, right now south side, you can see we have the clear conditions. But again, I mentioned this is all going to be moving off to the south as well. So let's go back here. We will focus in where we have this tornado warning right now. You can see that red box. And I do want to emphasize, this is so far radar indicated. Hopefully I'll get a minute here to go back and see if we have any other reports so far, because this is just starting. This storm system that sparked this warning is moving over the eastern shore. And when you see that area of pink, you also worry about hail. Because I mentioned waterspouts, nothing to mess around with, certainly. But typically once you get to land, we're going to see those fade away. But then you worry about some of the storms that are going to be rolling through. So let's see where everything stands right this second. So here we are right now. And also one thing I wanted to check out would be some of the, if we are having any kind of issues with hail out there, any kind of hail potential. Yeah, sure enough. This means when you see this kind of color out here, and I'll go ahead, 3 inches of diameter for hail, that's really, really unusual. And what you want to take away from that, first of all, that can do some damage, obviously. But also, that means with this particular storm, there are some very strong updrafts, because how hail forms, when you get really strong updrafts, so that wind being sucked up and it gets high enough so that when the hail, these pellets and whatnot, but more particles are able to accrue to it. So that means it had a long trip down where there was more stuff that was able basically to accumulate on this particle, so it falls down and you get large size hail. So the reason that I emphasize, and of course I want you to pay attention to the tornado warning and this Doppler indicated water spout, but I also just don't want you to lose sight of the strength of any particular cell itself. So know that because also some very gusty winds. We've already seen one storm cell where there was some indication, it was in Sussex County, but there was some indication that we could see winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. Obviously, that would do some damage. So we're going to be watching this very, very, very carefully. And I want to emphasize again, you want to take cover. You want to be listening to me. Leave the TV on. Hopefully you have one of our weather apps. You can take your phone into the closet with you. If you're lucky enough to have a basement, head down there. And also, if you're in a mobile home, and I know this is counterintuitive and we tell you all the time, but you actually want to leave. You want to get somewhere else into more stable surroundings. And in worst case comes to worst, we're talking about a ditch, we're talking about a gully, we're talking about something like that. Because when you get the really strong winds, those mobile homes, anything like that can just be tossed around. Unfortunately, we show you images of that with each time we have a storm like this. So again, we are looking at this tornado warning in effect right now for the Cape Charles area up through Eastville and Johnsontown. And let's take a look again, because I want to make sure that I highlight as many communities as possible so that you can hear your name, not your individual name, but you can hear your community name. This is in effect until 9 a.m. So we have this for another 25 minutes. Because it was as of 8:18, National Weather Service Doppler radar indicated a waterspout. And we're working right now to see if we have any reports of that. Of course, that wasn't very far away from the eastern shore, so we'll see if we have any reports of that. And also boaters, I want you to take heed about this. If you know someone who is out on the water, get them word. And that also goes over land. If you know someone who is out, go ahead and give them a call. Again, from a safe location within your house, be it a basement, be it a bathroom, be it a closet. You want to be away from windows because this is in effect until 9 a.m. Mentioned I wanted to get as many communities as I could over here. This was Doppler radar indicated waterspout moving across the Chesapeake Bay. And we frequently get waterspouts around here when you get these strong storm systems. So that was indicated on radar. And at the time, it was just a few miles to the northwest of Cape Charles, moving east at 25. So this is a factor for you. Cape Charles, Cheriton, Bayview. Other locations are going to include Smith Beach, Simpkins, Oyster, Eastville, and Bird's Nest. So you want to be taking cover right now because the biggest impact, the way people get hurt the most in these kinds of storms is by flying debris. So that's why you want to be as low to the ground as possible. And let's get you back here so you can see, I mean, we're literally going to track this storm as it moves across the eastern shore. I'm particularly concerned about that one area in pink where I've shown you some very strong hail returns with that one. So I'm thinking that is the heart of the storm as right now it is making its way across the eastern shore. So we have that information that it is moving to the east at 25 miles an hour. So I'm going to go, this is not from the leading edge of the rain that we have falling, but I'm going to go from where we have that area of pink that I am most concerned about because that's where we have the strongest updrafts, which means that's where we're going to have the strongest storms as they are the strongest part of the storm as it moves through. So let's go due east at 25 miles an hour. So we're talking about 8:39, literally a couple minutes away from you with the strongest part of the storm. 8:39 at Cheriton, Eastville, 8:41, 8:46 at Oyster. Again, a reported on radar waterspout. We are looking, or we are endeavoring to see if we can get reports if anyone has seen anything. But even if not, and waterspouts typically are not going to survive interaction with land, this is still a very, very strong storm. You saw that. I mean, I really can't remember the last time I saw reports of hail of more than 3 inches in diameter. So that's going to be a strong storm regardless. I also want to check out the rainfall rates because you also worry about some low-lying areas there along the eastern shore. And when you see pink, not only does it mean hail, it's also going to mean some very, very heavy rain. So more than 4 inches an hour. Now, this storm is not going to last for an hour, even since we've been on the air for the past 15 minutes or so. You can see this is moving, but where you have the skies really opening up, that is going to be an issue. So heavy rain, and then we'll have to see, again, if we see any kind of rotation out there, if that waterspout, if it even existed. This was indicated on radar to see if we have any kind of formation over land. So we'll be keeping track of that, and just know you are going to get an awful lot of rain very, very quickly. So you want to be inside, and if you know someone who is out, you want to get them word that they need to be inside, even if that's out and they have to duck into a business or something like that. This is a storm that you definitely want to take cover from. So that tornado warning in effect until 9 a.m. for you along the eastern shore. I want to widen the view because I don't want to lose track of any of you out there in case we had anything else that was issued. Now, this is the beginning of a cold front pushing over us. This is going to be a process throughout the day. In fact, the main energy with this is still out over the mountains in Virginia and over West Virginia. So this is the leading edge. Now, one thing that could aid in maybe it not being so bad later would be that we have, with some early onset of some of these showers, tends to enhance stability in the atmosphere because we kind of wash things out a little for a non-technical reason, kind of the atmosphere gets wrung out. But still, this is some heavy rain. You've already been under a severe thunderstorm warning because there was evidence of very damaging winds in Sussex County. That was allowed to expire. But let's go ahead and zoom in on some other spots here of where it is raining very heavily right now. And in fact, what you're feeling right now over Williamsburg, that was part of that strong storm that was moving over Sussex County. So right now, it's raining very, very heavily up and down 64, and we're still not done with the morning commute. So you worry about that as well. This is some very, very heavy rain. We have it falling over you from Ordinary down through Gloucester Point in the Middle Peninsula. Let's also check out our lightning situation. Yeah, we have some lightning strikes, not as many as perhaps you'd expect to see in a severe storm, but heavy rain is the main threat with this. So that's going to mean localized flooding, and you know where you are. If it tends to flood where you have the thunderstorms, be prepared for that. And also, we will see some more lightning throughout the day. So even though you may not see a ton of lightning strikes right now, we are going to see that upping throughout the day, and we're going to see those lightning strikes more numerous. And let's go ahead and widen the perspective here one more time. And I mentioned I want to head back over to the over to the eastern shore. I had a feeling that would be the case, that when we widen back out, that we'd see a lot more lightning as we were zeroing in on the eastern shore. So the reason that I mentioned, of course, a tornado warning you have to take seriously, but you also have to take seriously just the strength of this storm regardless. If we didn't have a tornado warning, if there wasn't some indication of a waterspout, we'd be on the air with you for a severe thunderstorm warning, because this indicating some very, very strong winds out there, a lot of lightning strikes. And we can also go ahead and show you what this storm looks like from the inside. If we can go ahead, yeah, there we go. So you can see here, and what you want to take away from this is just when you see those bright colors and you see that storm extending so high, this is a very, very strong storm. Again, very serious and very high updrafts. When you take a look at that going up 30, 40,000 feet, this is a very potent storm that we have out there. And I've shown you that with some of the hail estimates we have a lot of lightning. So this is dangerous. And the other thing you want to take away is we show you some of the velocities out there. It's when you see that kind of red and green, that's indicating the motion within the storm itself. When you see red close to green like that, that's when you have some signs you have basically the storm going in different directions at different layers. So that means that you can see some rotation out there. So definitely a warranted tornado warning here on Doppler radar. Of course, we're making phone calls. We'll have crews working to see if we did have a waterspout, does it survive any kind of interaction with land? Regardless, this is a very strong storm, and it is going to continue to cross the eastern shore. Really, I think you're in the heart of it right now as we speak. I'll take off the lightning strikes. I think you can see very well there exactly what you're dealing with. Although I'll be interested to see, let's see if we can get a handle on just how many lightning strikes we've been dealing with here. 637, and that just in the past half hour. So that is a lot of electrical activity right now over the eastern shore. I'm sure changing a lot of morning plans for you if you're watching this out there. And any individual storm, if you're not along the eastern shore, what I want you to know about this for the rest of the day is that any one of us could be affected by a storm like this as we head throughout the rest of the day. So just be prepared to take cover at some point. Right now, besides the eastern shore, we've really just been dealing with some of the heavy rain. I say just, that can still do some damage, that can still alter your plans, and something that you're definitely going to want to be aware of. So again, right now you are under the gun with this tornado warning along the eastern shore until 9. I'm going to go try to gather some more information, and we'll be back with you with some more analysis and some more data. But guys, right now, LaSalle, Vanessa, over to you.
Yeah, Julie, we're actually getting more information right now from people on the eastern shore, the area that Julie has really been pinpointing with this severe weather right now. We have on the phone with us Joe Burby.
Yeah, Joe Burby is the director of golf at Bay Creek, and that's in Cape Charles. So let's get right up there and talk to him. He's on the phone right now. Thank you for joining us, Joe. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing fine. Good morning.
Good
morning, Joe. All right, what are you seeing where you are?
Well, we've had a lot of lightning strikes and some pretty heavy wind and rain. And so I think we're under a tornado warning, but I have not seen or heard anything that looks like a tornado at this point.
Do you see any damage in the vicinity of the golf course where you are?
Not really at this point. We did have some pretty heavy wind, and blew some doors open here on the golf clubhouse. But other than that, it doesn't look too bad.
All right, that's certainly good news up there, because we are getting reports of some damage from the Eastville Volunteer Fire Department. The Cherry Stone Campground has some damage going on right now. How far are you from that, sir? Do you know?
We're about a mile south of that, and it does look like it seems like, looking at the radar, the brunt of this happened a little bit north of here, so that would make sense.
So you're just a mile away, and they're getting reports of damage there, and so far so good where you are.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're on the south end. We got it pretty hard here for I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and then it seemed to kind of pass on through.
Is it raining there right now? Are you still seeing these conditions?
Just very light rain at this point.
What are you telling your customers and the golfers out there that we're out for a day of golf?
Well, we have a GPS system on all the carts, so we sent them a warning as soon as we found out that, or as soon as we checked our lightning detection, and told them all to come in, and then shortly thereafter it got really ugly. So
this is stuff that you guys plan for. You just said you have lightning detection. How does that work?
Sure. Well, we just basically monitor the radar, and we have a thing called Spark, and it tells us when lightning is close to us. And it was, I don't know, about 15 miles away, and as soon as it gets in that 20 to 15 mile range, we send a message out to all the players to let them know there's severe weather and that they should take appropriate action.
Were there a lot of people on the course today when this all broke out?
I think we had about 30 or so out there when this happened.
All right, so Joe, you guys take care out there, because hopefully you can still watch 13 News Now and the information that our Weather Authority team and Julie Wilcox are giving right now, because we want you to stay safe. Just a mile away from some damage reported at the Cherry Stone Campground from the Eastville Volunteer Fire Department. Hopefully you don't get any of that damage today, sir.
Well, I hope so too, and you guys have a good day.
Thank you. You too, Joe. You know, it's
right.
About 14 minutes till 9 o'clock, and that's when this tornado warning goes away. So we're going to head back over to Julie to give us the latest on what's happening, what she's watching on the
Yeah, Julie, I don't know if you were able to hear there, but about a mile away, we have volunteer fire department in Eastville telling us damage at the Cherry Stone Campground, just a mile away from the Bay Creek Golf Course and Country Club in Cape Charles, where they didn't get any damage.
Yeah, and you know, that tells you that that can happen in these kinds of storms. I want to remind everyone that this came in as a Doppler radar indicated waterspout crossing the Chesapeake Bay, and we got that report in. In fact, I want to zero in for you. When that report, or at least that signature on radar, that was when it was just about 5 miles away from Cape Charles. You mentioned Eastville. Let's zoom in, and I keep focusing especially on this area of pink, because that's where, I mean, we've been tracking just almost some unbelievable hail returns, several inches in diameter. I mean, that's just some some giant hail out there. So where's most under the gun right now? Well, we can get really, really close here. This is up and down Route 13. Chariton, you're just on the back edge of that. Right now, in fact, we can get so specific to show you at Pattown Road. Right now, I suspect that you have some hail that is falling over you. Certainly very gusty winds, very, very heavy rain. This extends down through Sunnyside Road. Even if you don't have the pink over you, the strongest returns, some very heavy rain falling right now from Bayview down through Seaview. And in between, we have Bailey's Lane. Oyster, you two are under the gun. Let's head north. Let's follow Route 13 up through Stumptown. And you can see some of that very heavy rain falling over James Crossroads and let's even Kendall Grove, Reedtown. And we'll keep on going until we try to get out of the woods here because it's up through Johnstown and also through Bird's Nest. You have been one of the names mentioned here as being under that warning. And then we'll go out of the warning to Nassawadox. Although I always encourage, just because you're outside of the official warning box, you're close enough that you are going to be feeling some of that heavy rain. And you never know when something, or even just to the south of the watch box, you never know if some of that is going to slip in your direction. So just spill over those lines a little bit. And I mentioned the hail amounts that we're getting on radar estimates. I mean, this is just something else. When you start seeing numbers like this, where you see 4 inches in diameter, potentially hail, that does damage not just to property, that does damage to you or anyone else who is out there, which is why we tell you, of course, tornado warning, that grabs your attention. But part also what should grab your attention are the other things that we have along with this storm, which is some very, very heavy rain. And that is moving across right now as we get you back here to live radar. Now, the good news is that what looks like the very, very heaviest, and it's all relative because this is a heavy storm overall, is starting to emerge off of the coast of the eastern shore. So where is it right now? And it's, I mean, keep in mind, we were just telling you about 2 minutes ago, and it was still pretty close to you in Chariton. So say this, at least it is making time here, especially that heaviest part of it. But you are right in the heart of it right now in Oyster, starting to get out of it a little bit in Seaside Road, but you are right there on Glen Air Lane. So this a very potent storm system, strong hail signatures. We've seen a ton of lightning also with this particular storm, and that those areas of orange, that is some very heavy rain. We want to zoom out here a little bit because let's keep in mind there's still a little bit more behind it, and this came in initially as a radar indicated waterspout. So you never want to let down your guard. It's possible this is not going to be the last time we get a report like that for today. But right now, crossing the bay, you can see some of the heavy rain. I also want to note we have special marine warnings also in effect. So hopefully kept the boat ashore today, and if not, they've gotten word that you want to bring it back here because that is some very heavy rain that is falling, some very gusty winds. And this is instructive for all of us. Of course, not all of us are in the position to potentially have a waterspout develop if you're not right at the coast. But even as you take a look further to the west, here south side, and just between Wakefield and Franklin, we have some very heavy rain that is falling right now, indicated by those areas in orange and yellow. So from Cortland, and that includes you if you have plans to travel along Route 58, you can see at the bottom of your screen, Sebril right now, you have a downpour right over you, so meaning treacherous conditions to travel along Route 35. And we'll go ahead and see where we have some of this other heavier rain, and that would be towards Waverly. Sweep coming again now on radar. And where is all of this moving? Well, let's just track over the past hour here and show you, because again, this will give you an idea of when you have to worry about something. First of all, there's that one storm crossing the bay. So all of this looking like it's moving due east. But I want you to remember, this is a front that is pushing, yes, individual cells are moving to the east. The overall band, however, is sinking to the south. That progress will continue here throughout the day as we get this front that is going to drop through the region. And you know, if you were outside for any length of time this morning, or if you open the door right now, someplace where there is not a warning or severe weather, you know that it is muggy out there. It's a very soupy air mass, really the perfect ingredients, because it takes more than heat. It takes more than heat, it takes more than humidity. You need a trigger to spawn some stronger storms. We have that in place with this front that is pushing through. So we'll be on the lookout still for some stronger storms as we go throughout the rest of the day. So it's not just you along the eastern shore. Any one of us at any time, there could be a severe thunderstorm warning. In fact, we've already seen a severe thunderstorm warning. In effect, it was for about 45 minutes for you in Sussex County, for Surrey County, because we had some indications that we could see storms producing winds in excess of 60 miles an hour and some damaging hail. So where is it raining right now? The hardest along the peninsula. That would be from Boxley Hills, Brick Kiln Road you can see right now, up and down 64. We'll hope that we don't see any kind of traffic issues or accidents out of this, but we know we can get into some trouble here when the roads are wet, and then throw in the very heavy rain, some lightning as well. So it is raining heavily through Lee Hall right now. And of course, you can pick out those oranges and yellows, and you're about to get rained on even a little bit more as we get towards Evergreen Shores. So the Middle Peninsula, this is going to be an issue for you as well. We'll zoom back out here, and also the eastern shore, and I keep checking. I want to make sure that we don't have any new warnings popping up or anything like that. We'll get back in here and see where we have that strongest. I'm going to keep calling it the heart of this storm because that's where we've seen the strongest rain. That's where we've seen the strongest returns as far as hail with this pink area now moving off of the coast. And as I said, we keep trying to get information for you. Eastville Volunteer Fire Station. Okay, this is from the Eastville Volunteer Fire Station, so this is not something that we observed, but they report that they saw a tornado touchdown at Cherrystone Campground. So we are going to report that, and we are going to, that has already happened. Now, of course, and we thank you very much for that report. Of course, it's not officially a tornado until the National Weather Service, they go out after we have any kind of a report. They survey the damage. They did that just a couple of weeks ago down at the Virginia Beach ocean front. But we are getting that from the Eastville Volunteer Fire Station. They are reporting a tornado touchdown at Cherrystone Campground. And let's take a look now, and this is what we call the velocities. This is where we try to see what the winds are doing at various levels of the atmosphere. Which direction are they going? And we're taking you back in time. And when you see those reds mixed in with the greens, that's actually a pretty strong signature that we had some rotation. And perhaps, yeah, looking at that, I tell you what, I mean, that does look like, definitely looks like we had some kind of a touchdown. I shouldn't say that. You can get a tornado, you can get rotation in the atmosphere without it actually touching the ground. In fact, that was the case in Virginia Beach just a few weeks ago. A funnel cloud, it got low enough, it did some damage, but it didn't actually touch the ground. So that's looking like a pretty strong return here for at least some kind of funnel cloud, some kind of rotation. The reports right now is that it touched down. That's coming from the Eastville Fire Station. Now, the good news, as you take a look at radar, and we're going to hope that if that indeed was the case, that no one was hurt, the good news is, again, where if anything spawned that, we were just showing you that back in time. That was a loop. So that had already occurred. So it's possible we did capture that on radar as there was a funnel cloud or a tornado that was moving over the eastern shore. But the section of the storm that would have spawned that is now moving off the coast. So that is some good news. We still have some heavy rain falling, and we still have that tornado warning that is in effect until 9 a.m. I suspect that they're going to go ahead and let that drop in just about 3 minutes. But even so, up and down Route 13, Stumptown, James Crossroads, and then you can see some of those roads just arcing off of that from Kendall Grove down through Cherrydale Drive, Seaside Road. This is still some very heavy rain that is falling. And I say I think they'll allow it to expire because, of course, I think if this were over land, if there was still a landmass next to the east of this storm system, they might very well extend it. And the barrier islands out there, we don't want you to let your guard down out there either. And but because this is going to be moving out over the ocean, I think this will be allowed to expire. That does not mean the heavy rain that you are feeling right now is all of a sudden going to go away along the eastern shore. In fact, you can see more heading your way, crossing the bay right now. And we do have a fresh severe thunderstorm warning. So I want to get into that for you. This is in effect right now for Suffolk, Franklin, and Southampton County. Parts of those locations, parts of those communities. In fact, we can show you exactly where. I want to go ahead and ask, let's get the details, see exactly how long that's going to be in effect. You can see from Corinth down through Maynard's Crossroads, Franklin, Windsor, you are going to be under the effect of this warning, a severe thunderstorm warning. I want to make the distinction here. Definitely a difference between a thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. Thunderstorm warning, your primary threat is going to be damaging winds. And by damaging winds, I mean winds in excess of 60 miles an hour and also large hail. And we've seen some very large hail along the eastern shore. So you know exactly where it is. I'm going to read you the warning from the National Weather Service. Severe thunderstorm warning, that is for southwestern Isle of Wight County, that is east central Southampton County, Franklin, and also for Suffolk. That is until 9:30. And basically what's going on, we do have some indications that we are getting, or at least there's the possibility that this particular storm could produce quarter-size hail, damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. And this storm located near Hunterdale, near Franklin, it is moving to the east at 35 miles an hour. So that means Carlsville, Holland, Windsor. Let me name some other communities. Burdett, Walters, Elwood, Boaz, Loomis, and Kilby. You're going to want to take cover at this point. And again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds, though, and I can tell you, we get calls all the time from people thinking, must be a tornado, must be a tornado. There's so much damage out there. I really think a tornado must have moved through. Straight line winds can cause just as much damage. I keep referencing the ocean front, but it was in Virginia Beach where we had that last round of severe weather. And we had several sites that the National Weather Service surveyed, and actually most of the damage was done by straight line winds. So just because you think, okay, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, it's not a tornado warning,